Hey, this is Mark A. Altman, and welcome to the 4:30 Movie with your favorite 4:30 Movie host. On Monday, it's Mr. Steve Melching.
Are you ready for the summer?
On Tuesday, it's Darren Dochtman.
Summertime, 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 summertime.
And on Wednesday, Ashley Edward Miller.
Summertime, something.
And the living is easy.
And the living is easy.
And on Thursday, I'm Mark A. Altman. And summer loving got me. Anyway.
Oh,
Hey, boo-boo. So we're doing summer movies. This is a week of great summer movies, either movies about the summer or movies that were summer blockbusters or came out during the summer. So this will be really interesting as we kick off the summer with our guide to summer movies. Maybe it's just a character named Summer. That was always a kind of
Movie to Summer Glow. Now that's out of the box.
Summer Glowy.
Oh, one of them.
That's right.
Well, it's another excuse for Ashley to talk about Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
And Summer Glow.
Can't go wrong with that.
Every way.
Yep. No, she was so great in Firefly. We love the Summer Glow.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, anyway, welcome back. It's our eighth season. We're continuing our eighth season here at the 4:30 Movie. And we're talking about summer movies. But before we do that, I want to ask you, it's a very exciting summer. This year of films has already kicked off with some big films, big successes. The Minecraft movie, which I think the less said about the better. But Sinners was a huge hit for Warner Brothers earlier this year. A couple of big breakthrough movies. What are you looking forward to this summer, Steve?
It's an interesting summer. There's a lot of movies that I'm actually kind of looking forward to this summer, and I think probably my top two are F1, the Joseph Kosinski Formula racing movie with Brad Pitt. Looks pretty cool, and oddly enough, the Naked Gun sequel with Liam Neeson taking on the role of Frank Drebin's son. It looks like it might be goofy fun. I don't know.
Well, the button on that trailer is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for those who haven't seen it, it's all these are all apparently the kids of the original Naked Gun cops, their offspring. And the last one is the son of, and they're all sitting in front of like a memorial of their parents and talking about how much they missed them and how much they meant to them. And then, O.J. Simpson's son.
Son of Nordberg.
Yeah, son of Nordberg. And he's just shaking his head, nah.
I thought that's like kind of inspired casting in the way that Leslie Nielsen, had that whole sort of Renaissance second career as a comedic, actor later in life when he was this dramatic actor. To the point that it's hard to look at a lot of his dramatic work and take it seriously.
Oh, which deadpan is so perfect.
Which makes me regret that there was never a version of Taken with Leslie Nielsen.
Right.
I just think it's weird that the villain in Naked Gun is Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Is he?
No, I don't know.
Oh, because he was Khan Noonien Singh in the first one.
That's true. That's true. Ricardo Montalban was the villain in the original Naked Gun.
So it should be Benedict Cumberbatch then in the new one, right?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
That's really funny.
But I'm looking forward to Liam Neeson doing the deadpan, police cop thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll see the return of Enrico Palazzo Jr.
What about you, Darren? What are you looking forward to this summer?
I'm not really looking forward to anything. I'm sort of dreading a lot of the
Mr.
movies.
Grumpy.
Wow.
No, I'm not grumpy.
Listen to Grumpy McGrumpstein.
I just have to sort of prepare myself to be disappointed. And then in the case of them being good, I'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't know what to think about Fantastic Four. I don't know.
It's got an interesting look to it, but I
love that mid-century modern 60s World's Fair vibe. I can't wait.
I don't know.
I'm excited.
We'll see. But
I'm excited. I mean, look, I wrote two freaking Fantastic Four scripts, two completely different Fantastic
You wrote
Four
Fantastic
scripts.
8.
Fantastic. I wrote Fantastic 8. Fantastic 16 because it was an exponent. And then I wrote another one. It was Fantastic like squared. And then like I did another one. It was like 2. I had to do the derivative and they said no. But Josh Friedman wrote the script. I love Josh. He's brilliant. I think it looks terrific. And I would just love to see the Fantastic Four done right. And I think that's kind of an interesting way in. So I'm excited. I love the Fantastic Four. I would love
Just
for this to be
dead
good.
tired of Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, no shit.
You know, somebody said to me, and I don't disagree. They said everything about this movie looks great except for the cast.
Yeah.
And they said, you know, and it was interesting that they made that point because when you want something to be your new huge franchise, which will go, you know, hopefully they'll be with the franchise for 10, 20 years. Why would you cast so old? You know, you want them to be, you know, it's like you don't cast Bond, an actor generally in their 40s because you want them to do 15, 20 years of Bond movies.
Yeah, I don't mind about the age. I don't know. But I am looking forward actually to hopefully a really good movie, the next Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's going to be good. Again, I'm feeling trepidatious, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Is Rob Reiner doing it, or is it?
Yeah.
It's all the same people. Everyone that's still alive, I think, was involved with
that's still. That's the subtitle. Spinal Tap. Everyone that's still alive.
I mean, the thing about that is that really the original movie really covered the arc of the band. So I'm not sure what's left to do. I mean, I guess if the Who can be on their second farewell tour now, you know, I remember when they were on their farewell tour in '82, and they're on their farewell tour now in 2025. So that's pretty crazy.
Well, they were farewell and they came back and now they're farewelling again.
Yeah, well, I think the story of this one is they're being forced to do a reunion concert, and they're all kind of estranged from each other. And I know in real life, Harry Shearer had done a solo album as his character that was, and a tour that I actually went to and was pretty funny. And he wrote a whole new album's worth of songs for what's his character's name? Harry
Shearer Chronicles.
Yeah. But it is pretty funny. So I don't know. I'm wondering if they're going to incorporate
Derek Smalls.
The album was Smalls Change. So I'm wondering if they're going to incorporate any of that material into the new movie. I don't see why they wouldn't, but
and I'm wondering if the Folksmen are going to make an appearance.
Yes,
the return of the Folksmen. Yeah, I know Ed Beagley's not going to be back.
Well, and certainly Tony Hendra will not be.
Poor Tony Hendra. Okay, so what about you, Ashley? So we have somebody who's not looking forward to anything in the form of Darren, maybe Spinal Tap. Then Steve, who's looking forward to what'd you say?
F1
F1.
Yeah, the Brad Pitt Formula One movie, which looks great. I like all these movies look interesting to me. What about you, Ashley?
I don't know if I would say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm hopeful about Superman, but really the movie that I'm actually unreservedly looking forward to is Zach Cregger's second movie, Weapons, which is his follow-up to Barbarian. And if
I did not realize that. Yeah, Barbarian is great. I didn't know he had one coming out this summer.
Barbarian is fantastic, man. Yeah. It's like it does not go where you expect it to go. It's just so structurally ambitious. Like the characters are so great. The horror works out in a way that you just don't expect. And you think it's going to be one thing, and it turns into a completely different movie in a very smart way. And the setup for Weapons just seems creepy as shit and activates parental fear on a very deep level. It's like a whole bunch of kids in this Pennsylvania town like get up in the middle of the night and just go running off into nowhere and disappear all at the same time. And I don't know what the hell happens next. All
just
I know
because
is
it's a fantasy of yours.
Yes, exactly. The trailer is creepy as shit. And I know nothing else other
Steve
than
knows
that
nothing about it because all the marketing is on TikTok, so he has no idea it exists.
The TikTok. They put it on a watch. What are you talking about?
It's completely beyond our generation in terms of who they're targeting. So it's like, oh, there's a movie from, it's like, oh, yeah. Have you seen they did a whole like second film on TikTok to get people excited about weapons. It seems like, I don't know what that's all about.
Well, thanks to Ashley.
VHS.
Now I'm excited about it. I'm going to see this.
There you go.
Wow. I can't believe it. I'm usually the contrarian. I'm the contrarian in the positive way. I think it's a very exciting summer. I think.
I agree with you.
I'm like sure. Fantastic Four. I think looks great. I'm so excited about Superman. I think I'll believe a man can fly again. I'm really excited about what James Gunn is doing it with love, doing it with passion, doing it with optimism. So thrilled. Can't wait. I think that, there's a bunch of other crap coming out that sounds good. I don't really care about the Jurassic Park, but even that, Scarlett Johansson's in that. So maybe that'll give it some new, something, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. It's like, because I'm so sick of all these franchises and all that, but at least this year it feels like it's in the hands of some capable people. And, I'm looking forward to a lot of these movies. I hope they're good.
There's a couple more I was holding back on to see if you were mentioning them, but I'm looking forward to 28 Years Later.
Oh, me too.
The third installment. I love the trailer with that Rudyard Kipling poem. Is creepy and weird as hell.
Danny Boyle's great. When he's on, he's great.
Boots.
Yeah. Being up and down again. And the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. It looks good. I don't know. I like the original movie. I'll probably see it. I can't say I'm excited about it, but I hope it's successful. And
you know what I'm excited about, Steve? How to Train Your Dragon World in Epic Universe, the new theme park in Florida. Did you see
Train Your Dragon Lady, which is about
the new theme park in Orlando from Universal?
No.
They got the Monsterverse. They got Epic, which looks amazing. They got a whole Frankenstein ride, which brings all the monsters together. They got a How to Train Your Dragon land, a Harry Potter land. It's their attempt to compete with Disney, and the reviews are all amazing. Again, because it's on TikTok, you know nothing about this, but
true. But that's true. I've not even heard of this because I'm not on the TikTok.
This is a huge launch for Universal, and everyone's saying we didn't think they had it in them. That they're giving Disney a run for their money because the whole Epic Monsterverse or whatever it's called, Epic. It's funny. Why would you call yourself Epic? Because the reviews write themselves epic fail. Yep. Right? That's it. But apparently it's a really great park, and I'm just thrilled that this Monsterverse they're doing, the stuff I've seen with the Frankenstein, and they all have these stories, and like and it's like I guess the daughter of Dr. Frankenstein is trying to bring Frankenstein back, but Dracula gets it. But it sounds really cool, and apparently the animatronics are completely next level, and it's just supposedly sensational. So, because we just found out, this is how behind we are. We just found out about the great movie ride that once existed in Orlando, Florida at the Hollywood, and like it doesn't exist anymore, but like it had Alien on it. It had Casablanca. It had Public Enemy.
It wasn't very good.
You know what would have made Casablanca that much better? If there had been aliens in it.
I wish I had lived to see that theme park attraction. If I was a billionaire, I would make them rebuild that theme park attraction so I could go on it. Anyway.
And I want them to re-release Casablanca in 4DX.
Yeah.
4DX? I love it. When you're in Paris and she leaves you at the train station, they squirt water at you. Oh. I can't read the letter. Oh my God, that'd be so great. That'd be so great. And then they just squirt booze at you the rest of the time.
Right. And cigarette smoke.
You just get a faint stench of like vomit and like alcohol.
And then when you get to the airport, get me to the radio tower. They just fill it up with fog and smoke. You can't even see the screen.
You can't see anything.
and an engine fumes.
Full surround when they sing the Gorman National Anthem.
The Gorman National Anthem. Yeah, I know. Well, clearly that was the Marseille scene. But we were just talking before. Well, we won't get on diversion, but that's what I'm looking for next summer. There are rumors that they are going for the 10th anniversary of Rogue One release Andor theatrically.
Oh,
and I'm getting online now. I'm very excited about that.
Rogue 0.5.
Yeah, apparently Tony Gilroy said they had mixed at least several episodes for theatrical.
Theatrical, yeah.
So it could be, the rumor I heard was November, December of this year with a double bill with a couple episodes of Andor and Rogue One.
That'd be awesome. And right in the middle is Rebels.
Yeah,
He's going to get another Star Wars credit on a movie. Okay, so that's this year. But, you know, obviously we look back, summer has become a huge movie-going season. You know, we really saw it happen with the wide releases of movies in the 70s. Steve, give us a little history of why summer is the time in which, you know, blockbuster movies kind of were forged and why it's so important to studios.
Well, I mean, I think the obvious answer is it's you know, it's a time when kids are out of school and are looking for stuff to do. And you know, I certainly, when I was in junior high and high school, you know, my parents weren't out of school; they were at work. So my mother would drop me at the shopping mall with, you know, $10 or whatever in my pocket, and I would be on my own to eat lunch and see a movie. And
yeah, good luck with that now. $10 wouldn't even get you a hot dog.
Even adjusted for inflation, it might be like 25. But you know, yeah. So the studios figured it out, and sure, we'll get into this as we start programming our week. But it seems like it started in the mid to late 70s when there were some big blockbuster films that came out early or in the middle of the summer that were able to, you know, generate huge revenue for the studios. Yeah. And, you know, especially in those days, those films could play for months at a time and really build an audience. But, you know, the studios started piling on and they all said, oh, we got to have our summer movie, you know, and then like, oh, we got to have more than one, you know, we got to have a summer movie in May and we got to have another one in July, you know, and so it seems like by the 80s, that seemed to be like peak summer movie, for, you know, and especially a lot of original, you know, films that started the franchises that kind of ultimately gave way to an era of sequels and reboots and remakes that we have today that are still released in the summer in the hopes of generating
original
huge
movies?
grosses.
What are those?
Tomorrowland.
The OG.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that, you know, in the last couple of weeks, or, you know, we've only been back for a week, but, you know, a lot of episodes we've stepped on each other. Like you took my pick. Right. The playing field here is so vast that it'll be interesting to see if those eddies and currents bring us to the same movies or if like it's completely disparate. And the way to find out is by turning to our 4:30 movie host to find out their picks. So Monday, Steve Melching.
I predict I'm stepping on somebody's pick. I had a pick originally that I was going to talk about, and then I realized that I had picked it before when we did summer movies like 4 years ago.
We did. Well, that was Summer Loving. Wasn't that Summer Romances?
No, it was just summer. I don't know. It just was summer movies.
About summer.
Oh,
so I'm not going to pick it again.
Why are we doing this week then?
Just fuck it, go home.
Well, I think that was movies about summer. So right. I think what we're talking about today, it could be a movie that's about the summer or the summer experience, or it could be a movie that came out in the summer and was identified as a quote unquote summer movie.
Right. Like, so Summer of Sam would be okay for that week, yes, but it would not be an ideal for this week.
Right.
Okay.
So I switched gears and I'm going to go with, and maybe not the most inspired pick, but for me, it is the quintessential summer movie because it is both about the summer and a summer movie. And that is a little movie from 1975 called Jaws.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws. This is Universal's extraordinary motion picture version of Peter Benchley's best-selling novel, Jaws.
I just found out that a girl got killed here last week. And you knew it. You knew there was a shark out there. You knew it was dangerous. But you let people go swimming anyway.
You yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Is it true that most people get attacked by sharks in 3 feet of water, about 10 feet from the beach?
Yeah. What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine.
We're not only going to have to close the beach, we're going to have to hire somebody to kill the shark.
Bad fish. But I'll catch him and kill him.
Did you hear your father? Out of the water now!
This shark, swallow you whole. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
That's a 20-footer.
25. 3 tons on him.
Hurry up, he's coming straight for us. Don't screw it up now. Don't wait for me. Now! Shoot!
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Jaws. See it before you go swimming.
Dun, 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 dun. What a good way to kick us off. That is the definitive summer movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is a movie it's about summer dollars. It takes place in the summer in Amity, and the community is gearing up for their summer season of swimming and tourism. And there's a series of shark attacks that pits the local sheriff.
But you say shark on the 4th of July. We have a panic on our hands.
Got a panic on your hands. So yeah, you're pitting the local law enforcement, the Sheriff Brody, against the interests of the town and the mayor wanting to make sure the beaches are open and everyone's having a good time. And of course,
except Mrs. Robinson. Oh wait, wrong Mark Hamilton movie. Sorry.
And everyone who's listening to this, I'm sure, has seen Jaws many times, so we all know the story. But it's. It was a huge blockbuster when it came out. It was one of those movies that dominated the discussion, that literally changed people's behavior in the summer going to the beach. People were afraid to go in the water. I was afraid to go in a damn swimming pool at night when I couldn't see, even though I knew, I'm in a chlorinated freshwater pool miles from the ocean. How could a shark possibly?
Sorry, Steve.
Even if he wants his revenge, how could he get in that pool?
Yeah.
Land shark.
Land shark.
Land shark.
Mrs. Clark, sorry.
Knock, knock. Land shark.
But yeah, it was a huge blockbuster hit. It spawned a number of sequels. And it's one that's just iconic. Everyone, you Mark did it earlier. You just hum a couple bars of the iconic John Williams score, and you know exactly what you're talking about. And I, in my mind, this obviously there were huge hit movies prior to this, like The Godfather and Ben-Hur, other big studio films that made Gone with the Wind, for crying out loud, that made huge sums of money. But Jaws seemed to kick off that summer movie mentality as far as the studio system is concerned. That solidified within, a couple of years with other big movies that came out that I'm sure we'll talk about.
Man, it's funny. I always liked Jaws, right? Like I appreciated Jaws. I liked it. it entertained me. It's obviously it made me
made
think
you
twice
laugh
about
like a
going
clown.
on. Made me laugh like a clown. Like it's funny, right? But I didn't love it until two things happened. Number one, I saw it on the big screen. Number two, I saw it with Caden. And I saw that movie through the eyes of a kid seeing a movie like that for the first time. And man, that kid loves that movie. And we did a Kids Day in the podcast episode, and that was like his number 2 movie. And it was close to being his number 1. And just the way he reacted to it, just the way that it activated him in terms of how he experiences film, and realizing how much of that movie just plain works. Like when the shark comes up out of the water, it shouldn't be scary, right? It's a jump scare, it's whatever, but it's scary as hell. When they go down under the water and there's the head, and it blows your mind. It's transcendent is what that movie is. And I went to see it again, like in the 3D release.
That was a good 3D.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And you understand, right? Like if I had gone to see that movie in 1976 in the theater and it was 40 feet high, holy shit. I would have gone to see that movie every day. Every day. That's just, it's that good, but it is meant to be seen on the big screen.
Yeah, the movie came out in the summer of 75, and my family moved to Hawaii in March of 76. So my parents made damn sure I did not see that movie before we moved to Hawaii, because we literally went to the beach. From Amity. Went to the beach almost every weekend. And even then, I was afraid of sharks, but it didn't keep me out of the water. But
Steve, it's a great pick. Not only is it celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, it kind of is the definitive summer movie. I mean, it's a fallacy to say there were no wide releases before Jaws. There were, but this is the movie that everyone looks at as the iconic wide release movie that sort of changed.
First real blockbuster.
Yeah, and it's and besides being a blockbuster, it's a great movie. So what a great pick. We've had it on the show before. It's my favorite Steven Spielberg movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love the cast. I love the score. I just think it's such a great, it's such a great pick. And I did not see it theatrically for many, many years because my parents wouldn't let me see it as a kid. And so everybody playing the Jaws operation game and reading the Jaws log and playing with their Jaws toys and seeing it again and again, and not me.
I remember reading, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the novel, the Benchley novel, at some point was serialized in the Reader's Digest, because I have a memory of reading some of it at like my grandparents' house in a copy of Reader's Digest I found.
One of the great key art of all time, obviously based on the book, but the key art's even better. Everything about that movie is magnificent, and it's so great, and the story of it's so great. The Laserdisc was so great with the bonus features and the deleted scenes, which are on many of the subsequent DVD and Blu-ray versions and the 4K. And
I ain't going, Mr. Clint.
I ain't going on that rest of the old pod, Mr. Clint. Yeah.
Not make fun of Clint's longtime companion.
Only Richard Dreyfuss can do that.
That's right.
That's right.
I have to say,
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
He's not doing it.
That was one of the great thrills for the three of us when we had the chance to interview Richard Dreyfuss on stage.
Yeah, oh my God.
I mean, because he's been in so many movies that are meaningful to us. And of course, Darren has worked with him on movies as well. But it was so great to sit down with him and talk about Jaws and Close Encounters and, and
his relationship with Robert Shaw and all of that.
And I remember his wife coming up to us and saying, wow, this is like, can I get a copy of this? This is like such a great interview. Yeah. And it really is wonderful.
I love Richard Dreyfuss, and he is so good in Jaws and in everything, but particularly in Jaws, because he's basically playing his iconic self, and it's just great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great pick. So what about you, Darren? Tuesday, what's your summer pick? How do you vote, Sarek of Vulcan?
I'll tell you how I vote. I'm going to pick a little tiny movie. at least it feels tiny in my mind. It did fairly well when it came out in, when was it? In 1979, actually. And it is a little movie about summer camp called Meatballs.
You saw what he did to Saturday Night. Now watch Bill Murray demolish Summer.
Are you ready for the summer? Are you ready for the sunshine? Are you ready for the birds and bees, the apple trees, and a whole lot of moving around? Are you ready for the summer?
See 300 kids from the city escape to the woods for a summer of wholesome fun in the sun.
I'm the program director, Jerry Aldini. Is that a bra you're wearing, or are you expecting an assassination attempt? And I have what doctors call very active glands.
Tripper, is there something seriously wrong with you?
Meet the head counselor who knows the facts of life, but forgot them.
What the hell's going on here? So this year, each camper will stalk and kill his own bear in our private wildlife preserve. These are the camp rules. Maury would like you all to take a look at these. Be in here if you want to check these out a little bit later. Cut the leg.
Okay.
Yeah, for now. But if you don't win, we cut it off. But more important than the score of this game is to score at the big social at our place tonight.
It's not how you play the game, but how you win that counts.
I'm talking to you with the exceptionally round hair.
The country for the glory of the human race.
It just doesn't matter if we win or we lose. It just doesn't matter.
The real excitement, of course, is going to come at the end of the summer during Sexual Awareness Week. We import 200 hookers from around the world, and each camper, armed with only a thermos of coffee and $2,000 cash, tries to visit as many countries as he can. And the winner, of course, is named King of Sexual Awareness Week.
You'll be cheering for Bill Murray this summer in Meatballs.
Ah, Meatballs.
Directed by Ivan Reitman, starring the great Bill Murray, before he was Bill Murray, or at least around the same time that he was Bill Murray. Because he had, they brought him into this as almost a secondary thought, and sort of built up his character in the film. But it also has the great Chris Makepeace, who was in My Bodyguard, I think a year later. And that's another one of my favorite movies, but we're not talking about that right now. But it feels so small, this movie. It feels like someone just got together over a weekend and shot it. And that was it. It's a lot of fun. I think it must mean a lot more to people who actually went to summer camp. I never got to go to a summer camp. So it seemed like this strange world that I was never connected to, but it looked like it was fun. And it's great. A lot of the characters are, sort of, stereotypes, I guess. But they're not unreal, which is kind of well done. And of course, Ivan Reitman went on to do so many great films and not great films. But it's really a small movie that did good, and it made a bunch of money that in '79. But I really like it, and of course, Steve, when you first started singing "Are You Ready for the Summer," I was thinking, "Oh, geez, Steve's gonna pick that movie." But thank goodness he didn't.
Well, you know what? That was my original pick. That's the one I decided not to pick this week.
Wow,
but I thought Jaws was going to be your pick, so I was worried that I was picking your pick, but you picked my pick, and I picked your.
Yeah,
no,
funny. I didn't even think of Jaws.
No, it's funny. I just rewatched Meatballs with the Ivan Reitman, Dan Goldberg audio commentary the other night, which is terrific. The commentary is great. And what you said is exactly right. This is a movie that was made for about $1.5 million. They shot it at a real working summer camp while it was in operation. So they were able to get all these establishing shots and with the actual campers providing background, like the Parents' Day. That was the actual Parents' Day. So they shot all this footage of the parents hanging out with their kids, or they shot all this footage of the kids eating in the dining hall so they could have 500 kids that they could never afford any other way. And Reitman was saying when they finished the film, this was his first feature. He had directed something small before, but he had a 2-hour cut of the movie, and he said it was funny, but it wasn't working. It had no heart. It had no core story. So what they realized was, based on a couple scenes that they had shot between Bill Murray and Chris Makepeace, that is the heart of the movie.
That's the heart of the story, yeah.
So they went back and wrote a bunch of new scenes and shot them. They built like 3 walls of Bill Murray's cabin and shot all these scenes in Bill Murray's cabin between the two of them. And they shot the scene in the bus stop, which was actually a diner that they just went and hung a bunch of Greyhound posters on the wall to shoot that scene when Makepeace is going to leave summer camp. And they created in post that whole main story thread, the emotional heart of the movie. And Harold Ramis had come on and done a lot of rewrites on it and had written all those great PA voiceovers that Bill Murray does.
Yeah. Like MASH.
Exactly. And that also added to it. And, as you said, Bill Murray, he did not want to do this movie. He wasn't on SNL yet at this point when they shot the movie, but he was on the National Lampoon stage show, I think, with
Lemmings.
Yeah. And Reitman was begging him for months to do the movie. And then he finally agreed to do the movie. And a lot of his scenes were improvised or partially improvised. So some of those scenes, like the "It Just Doesn't Matter" scene, the reactions of the other people in the scene are genuine because they had no idea what he was going to do. So anyway, I agree with Darren. It's a charming little movie. It made $70 million on that tiny budget.
And like you said, the original cut, it was basically a bunch of vignettes of stuff happening at the summer camp, and it really had no through line. And it was an amazing feat that they recognized this chemistry between Bill Murray and Chris Makepeace, and were able to sort of develop that. And I think it's way more successful because of it.
And the reason it's all these vignettes is because Reitman had just finished producing Animal House, and he wanted to direct a movie. And he had this idea of summer camp with his friend Dan Goldberg, who had also gone to summer camps. Like, we should make a summer camp movie. And they had this idea in like April. And they needed to shoot the movie starting in like July or August. So they wrote that entire script in like 2 months, and it wasn't even completely finished. I think when they started shooting, they had to start shooting.
2 months.
Crazy.
Pussies.
Let me guess, Ashley, did you write this one too?
No. Just 2 months. There's an eternity during which the Enterprise will be vulnerable to attack.
But like Darren, I never had the summer camp experience either. I went to a Boy Scout camp for 2 weeks. That was kind of similar, but watching this movie, it kind of makes you yearn for that experience of going away from home and living in the cabins and doing all those activities and getting into mischief. It just seemed like a lot of fun.
The irony is that I did go to summer camp. I
take it you didn't care for it.
Well,
it doesn't seem like your speed.
My first year of summer camp, I was in this place called Junior House, which was away from the main thing, and so
of course
they didn't have a bathroom. They only had an outhouse, and they had no running water. and I was
Horrified.
I was on the porch because I was one of the new people. So we had 4 people who had to stay in these bunk beds on the porch. So it was a hike from the main,
like a screened in porch.
Screened in porch out on the porch.
Circle of hell to
in
me.
the middle of fucking nowhere. It was like a Friday the 13th movie come to life. And I went there for a couple of years, but then my brother became head counselor of the camp, and all these decades later he's still there, but as director, assistant director. So I find it amusing that I went to summer camp when I look back, because you wouldn't think it's my thing, but it was kind of like where I learned to appreciate the good things in life, because
you were crushing your enemies, seeing them driven before you,
air conditioning, potable water.
You're running water. The fact that, and I think a bottled water that didn't smell like eggs, like sulfur. Yeah. So it was. So camp movies. I don't think they've ever nailed the camp movie completely. Getting hit in your face playing tetherball. A lot of great memories of
good
summer
times.
camp.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, did you go to summer camp, Ashley?
No. I mean, I was in nerd camps, but I didn't go to summer camp. Are you kidding? That would have been I can't think of anything I would have been less suited to than fucking summer camp.
God. The summer camp I went to was founded in 1919, and the woman at the time who did it
was there from the beginning.
Well, she was 80s or 90s, and she used to drive around this gold Mustang, and she was really sweet. But her husband was a jerk, and I guess he had surgery, so he talked like this, and he would yell, and he was kind of a combination of Jerry Stiller and Seinfeld, and it was just like, God damn it, Pearl, what are you doing? And it's like
he sounds
like Judge Doom and
that's
Roger
what I was going to say. The tune from Roger Rabbit.
It kind of was. Yeah, Henry was kind of like Judge Doom and Roger Rabbit. But I went there for a couple of years. My last year, I was a waiter. And that was the year
God, I amazing.
Yeah, because I don't believe in waiting on serving other people. I like to be waited on. So, but I spilled a boiling vat of hot water on one of the hot chocolate on one of the counselors.
Oh my God!
But I was very lucky because her brother gave me the biggest tip I got that whole year. He was so appreciative.
And the tip was plastics.
I was a terrible waiter. Terrible. Just awful.
I can't even imagine it.
Yeah.
The Boy Scout camp I went to was fun. We lived in tents for a couple of weeks, but it was all based around earning merit badges. So it was pretty structured. So, but they had a freaking rifle range. So we go out and shoot 22 rifles.
Oh,
for
Jesus
target.
Christ.
We go to the archery range and learn archery, and go out on canoes and all kinds of stuff.
Canoes.
With Gary, canoe.
See, the thing when it rained, they would have us all in the barn and show 60mm movies. And one of the alumni, like Walter Matthau was an alumni and a bunch of other people. So one of the guys at Sony used to go. So he donated all these films, but they never looked to see what they were showing. So one week they put on Brotherhood of Satan, Brotherhood of Satan. Another week it was Failsafe. I mean, Dr. Strangelove. It was like, and it's
for 11-year-olds.
Well, yeah, it was there were 8-year-olds there. I mean, I was a little older. I was, but they were it was crazy. I was like
so many
Brotherhood of Satan. I mean, it was they didn't even look to see what they were putting on. And that's why these kids today, they talk about trauma and I laugh. It's
this explains so much, Mike.
You didn't get filed into a barn to watch Brotherhood of Satan during a rainstorm.
King Rat with William Holden. Could you imagine?
Oh my God.
It was the best. It was the best. I have fond memories. One year I was living in the manse, which was falling apart and collapsing around us. I mean, it just crazy. Summer camp was great. That's why I like these summer movies, these summer camp movies. I totally get why you're a fan. My brother's waited for the ultimate summer camp movie his whole life. I know he liked Indian Summer, which was a summer camp movie. But it's they've never nailed summer camp. Friday the 13th maybe can't nail summer camp, but it's just, I don't know. Anyway, but I loved camp. I loved it. you know?
I love
And then-
camp. Do you really love camp? Or are you just looking
I
around
did.
the room
I
and
did. No,
saying
I
things
loved
you
it back in the day. I loved it back in the day. I mean, you know, because after it rained, besides the movies, we'd go on these long hikes. But, you know, it's like the end of like 13 mile hike. You'd stop at like, there was a place called Stewart's to get ice cream. And that was like a great thing. It's like, oh my God. Like at that point, you're so deprived. I felt like we were on the Bataan Death March as teenagers. It was just like, oh,
You also
ice
showed
cream.
that movie to the 8-year-olds.
No, that we didn't see.
Hey, who wants to watch The Rape of Non-King? Let's go.
Oh my God. It was crazy. It was crazy. But the camp was great. You know, I wanted my kids to go, but they weren't interested. So say la vie. Anyway, actually, Wednesday, as we say here on our Say La Vie. What about Wednesday? Are you going to be out of the box? Are you in the box? Say, what's in the box? Come on.
So I feel like I'm going to be out of the box because I'm going to pick Michael Caine and Blame It on Rio. No, I'm kidding. That's not my pick. Although, you know what? It could be. That's not my pick. Now I just did Mark's shtick, and I'm really sorry, Mark. I didn't mean to do that, but I did.
No, we should do inappropriate relationship week. Blame it on Rio.
Blame It on Rio is on Friday.
Michael Caine sleeps with Michelle Johnson, Demi Moore's best friend, and the daughter of his best friend's
It's pretty
daughter.
great, kids. It's like when you're 13, that's the best movie you ever saw.
Blame It on Rio was really great as a teenager. Now I watch it, I find it just unwatchable. Stanley, and even then I watched it because Stanley Donen directed it. I was like, oh, the guy did Charade and Singing in the Rain.
Oh, they're singing in the rain, all right. That's not my pick. So I am going to go out of the box, but I'm going to go out of the box in a different way. And I'm probably breaking a rule, but I'm breaking it for a reason.
Electric Boogaloo?
Electric Boogaloo. No, because I want to talk about a summer movie experience that was just one of the most terrifying summer movie experiences I ever had. It was just the cause of incredible anxiety. Like the stakes were so unbelievably high. And it was life-changing and weird. And in a way, it happened twice inside of 30 days. But the movie that I am picking, and you guys can tell me, Ashley, no, I'm sorry, pick another one. And God knows there's plenty of other movies for me to pick. But there's a story in this one.
Ashley, no, pick another one.
Okay. 2011's. Can you guys guess?
No.
X-Men First Class.
You have the chance to become part of something much bigger than yourself. What do you know about me? Everything. A new species is being born. Help me guide it. Shape it. Lead it.
Time for the tour.
You have no idea what I'd give to feel
Normal.
You want society to accept you, but you can't even accept yourself.
Should we have to hide?
Tomorrow, mankind will know that mutants exist. They'll fear us, and that fear will turn to hatred. Not if we stop a war. Not if we risk our lives doing so. We have it in us to be the better men. We already are.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States.
They're just kids. No, they were kids. You ready for this? Let's find out.
The cost of freedom is always high. No one can foresee precisely what course it will take. One path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender.
Listen to me very carefully, my friend. Killing will not bring you peace. Peace was never an option.
Oh, he's picking his own movie. Will we allow this? Well, I guess in the Trump era, you could do anything that's illegal. So we'll let you go ahead and pick your own movie.
We'll allow it.
All right. So that's why I was laughing a little bit. They had 2 months to write fucking meatballs. Okay. So here's why I picked X-Men First Class. Because, first of all, to me, the summer of 2011 was bonkers. I was king of the geeks, man. I had Thor that came out like the first weekend of May. And I had X-Men First Class that came out like 30 days later.
That's not why you were king of the geeks.
That's not what I was king of the geeks for a whole other different reason. But let's just say I had a really good month. All right. It was pretty fantastic. Okay. But what was behind both of those, and particularly with X-Men First Class, was a peek under the hood of the pressure of making a summer movie. The things that we were talking about at the very top of this. Because these franchises that we talk about, right? These things are they're golden gooses. They're worth billions of dollars. Billions. X-Men, that franchise was worth billions of dollars to Fox. It meant so much to that studio. And when they set out to make that movie, they announced a movie that had a script that didn't work and a director that had just been pulled off of it. And because they announced it, they had started a clock. And that clock said that if they didn't have a movie green light by such and such a date, then the rights reverted back to Marvel. And the starting gun goes off and the race is on. Enter our hero. Who walks into the executive's office, reads the existing script after hearing the pitch for what the movie's supposed to be, and said, "What the is this?" And the executive said, "Exactly. So we need a draft in 10 days. Say nothing to your representatives. This evening, you're going to get a call. They're going to get a call. They're going to negotiate a deal. And then you're going to write, and you're going to have to deliver that draft in 10 days. And it has to be a draft that Tom Rothman, chairman of the board, can actually greenlight." And we went 10 days to take a movie that fundamentally did not work, that had a great premise, and turn it into something that somebody could shoot. That was good. We did our deal, and like anybody who's like worked in Hollywood will tell you this is insane. Okay, so the last deal I did like took 6 months. The longest deal I ever did took 9 months. This deal took 45 minutes.
Well, at least you got credit, unlike Nick Meyer, for his 10-day rewrite.
Yeah, exactly. It was a 45-minute deal, and then suddenly we're having dinner with Bryan Singer, and he's telling us all the reasons why it's just going to be a nightmare. And we're eating sushi, and he's getting drunk, and he's basically says at the end of it, like, "Well, the way I see it, you work in television, you're a team. Maybe you can pull this off. I give you a 50-50 chance of succeeding." And then he gets in his Porsche and he drives away. And suddenly here we were, we had to re-break this film. We had to rewrite this film. And we had to do it in such a way that it made the chairman of the board happy and it made Bryan Singer happy. And they had very different things that made them happy. And it was 10 days of playing, Rashomon. Actually, I'm sorry, not Rashomon. That was a completely different experience. It was a Yojimbo experience. We were pitting one side against the other. It was crazy pants. We had a first act within the first 7 days. We had written a first act. That's what we had in 7 out of 10 days because we kept getting notes from the studio. They kept sending us back. On day 7, I flip out on the executive when he has more notes that Wednesday morning for the Friday that it's due. And I said, these notes are really good. I said, we can do these notes except for one thing. We still have to write Act 2 and 3, which is fine. We can do this. But what it means is we probably won't finish the script. And you and I both know that the chairman of the board is not going to greenlight a script that is incomplete. It is simply not going to happen, which means that we fail. Now, here's the good news for us. The good news is nobody expected us to succeed in the first place. It's no skin off our back. Everybody was like, good try, boys. You know, it's not how long the little dog stays up there on his hind legs. It's that he got up there at all. But somebody's going to have to eat the shit burger for the failure. And you know who's going to eat the shit burger for it? You are. So do you want us to do the notes on Act 1 or do you want us to finish the fucking script? And he said, how about you finish? I said, great. So that was my experience. During the 10 days that we wrote that movie, I swear to God, we did 20-hour days. My writing partner, Zach, and I, we did 20-hour days each. I had a psychotic break somewhere in the middle of it. I was writing scenes like in the middle of the night, like the Argentina scene with Magneto. I had 5 martinis. It was 12:30 at night. I was 38 sheets to the wind. I was a fleet of ships to the wind. Wrote that scene. By the way, we shot it as written, which just goes to prove that alcohol is the secret to a great screenplay. The production itself.
A lot of screenwriters would agree with you.
Yeah, they would. We had a draft. Matthew Vaughn came aboard. That was a whole other fucking thing. We did another draft. We had 10 days to write that, to do another draft. Like, there was no time to do anything. We were writing like in the middle of production while things were being prepped. I mean, which is a very normal thing, but just to kind of give people an idea of what happens, because again, the stakes are so high. You cannot fail because there are billions of dollars at stake. For those executives, their careers are at stake. Nobody is trying to make a bad movie. Here's what's happening. Everybody is trying to not make a bad movie. They're trying so hard to not make a bad movie that sometimes you forget that you need to make a good movie. But we were fortunate. That movie turned out great. And it was huge for our careers. I was very happy with how it turned out. I could tell you horror story after horror story about production and things that happened along the, on the road to Damascus, but it doesn't matter. The point of the lesson of X-Men First Class is time isn't the issue, right? It is simply meeting the date. It is making the date. It goes back to the oldest rule in Hollywood, right? Which is you can shoot pretty much anything but a blank page. And in Hollywood,
I can't pick that.
You can actually, you know what, you're right. I mean, if Michael Bay has taught us anything, it's you can shoot a blank page.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't try to shoot a blank page. Anyway, look, I was happy with how the movie turned out. The casting process, I could tell crazy stories about that, about how Michael Fassbender almost wasn't cast because Tom Rothman thought he was too old. And how, his audition with James McAvoy wearing like a porn stash because he was doing that Carl Jung movie or whatever the hell it was he was doing, looking insane and ridiculous, was one of the best auditions I'd ever seen. And he owned it. And you just saw that audition and knew he was going to be a star. But we had to convince Tom Rothman to cast him. All of these things that go into these tiny little decisions that happen on the way to making a movie, especially a summer movie where everybody is thinking, my job is riding on this. The future of the studio is riding on this. And you don't know how all those tiny little decisions are going to add up. All those tiny battles fought, won, lost, what it's all going to mean in the end. And, the end of our story was a happy one. The movie came out. It was extremely well reviewed. It relaunched the franchise. People loved it, on its own terms. It did great things for my career. And it was at a time when, I had a 3-year-old and, if I were walking around the Americana at Brandon Central, I could just point to a poster to get him to go places where I need him to go by saying, run to Daddy's movie. And he would just go. But yeah, that's my pick for Wednesday is my own personal trauma.
Well, that's a totally legitimate pick because it's a great movie. You did a great job and you should be proud of it because, it's the movie that saved the X-Men franchise, and it's wildly entertaining. And it's great that you should be able to share the story of with the listeners here on the 430 movie. So that's great. Fantastic choice. Didn't see that one coming.
See,
but you never cease to surprise us. So it is outside the box.
There you go.
Even though it's in a box pick for outside the box reasons. So very good. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add to that other than it's probably my favorite of the X-Men movies. So well done.
Me too.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thursday.
Yes.
Let's see if you allowed Ashley to get away with the transgression. Let's see if I can get away with it. So my pick for Thursday is the summer of 1982. Star Trek 2, Blade Runner, The Road Warrior, Tron, Poltergeist, Officer Gentleman Conan, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, E.T., Tron, the thing. No,
I would allow that for Friday, but
the entire summer of
1982 is Friday.
The entire season of 430 movie we've just finished. Thank you, and we'll see you next season for our 9th season. Okay, so that's not going to work. Okay. Thought about the Untouchables.
Well, you could nominate your documentaries, right?
No. Okay. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But thank you for suggesting.
Now he's not going to.
1982, greatest geek you're ever. Buy it now. I was thinking because it's a great summer movie, and it's a great movie that came out during the summer. Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused. But, it's not a summer blockbuster because it was a platform release and it only found its audience years later. And I do love it, but I feel like I got to go with a true summer blockbuster. So, so I'm going to go with Woody Allen's Vicky Cristina Barcelona. I do love that movie, but that is not my pick because I am thinking about a summer that we all loved. A very special summer. It's a movie and a summer that changed our lives. The year, 1977. The film, The Spy Who Loved Me.
It's the biggest. It's the best. It's Bond. And beyond.
Major Masova, a Russian agent. Let them get ashore and then kill them.
Business and your people get killed. We both know that.
Then, when this mission is over, I will kill you.
Within minutes, New York and Moscow will cease to exist.
Anya on there.
I know, James. I'm sorry.
I have to get her off.
How?
Well. A British agent in love with a Russian agent.
Your time's running out, Stromberg.
Yours too, Mr. Bond. Yours too.
It's the biggest. It's the best. It's Bond. And beyond.
Did not
James
see that
Bond.
coming.
It came out after the dreadful Man with the Golden Gun. It looked like Bond might have fired his last bolt.
By the way, The Dreadful Man with the Golden Gun is a terrific title.
Harry Saltzman was out, and Albert Cubby Broccoli had to continue the franchise, carrying it on his back. Would Bond continue? Could it continue? What was the future? What is it? Was it? They didn't even have a book to adapt. The Spy Who Loved Me. It's barely a Bond book. He's barely in it. It's a bizarre little book. There's nothing there. And yet it is Roger Moore's his triumph, his most spectacular film. From the very moment that 007 jumps off a giant mountain to his presumed death, and the Union Jack suddenly explodes out of his backpack to reveal James Bond parachuting to safety. And then the beautiful song by Carly Simon, Nobody Does It Better. This is what summer's all about. A fishman, Carl Stromberg. You remember him
Fishman.
from The Enemy with Below. He's building a race of atomic super beings. No, wait, he's building a world underneath the sea, which will be populated by his perfect people, Khan and his followers. They will live in success after the world is annihilated in a nuclear exchange. It's just such a great movie. I love The Spy Who Loved Me. I might like it more than Star Wars. There, I said it. Okay, maybe not, but it was truly Bond and beyond, because Moonraker is great, but it's terrible. It's a terrible movie. I was going to
say, Spy Who Loved Me was so good, it was remade 2 years later as Moonraker.
Because the book Moonraker is The Spy Who Loved Me.
So it's kind of crazy that that Moonraker is the exact same movie.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I know, that's why I ignored it rather than explain why you were wrong. So
the movie is the Moonraker book.
But Moonraker, what?
No.
Because Moonraker was someone who wanted a race of super beings after the nuclear.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole problem was nuclear destruction of everything.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah.
Okay, so
it doesn't matter.
So anyway, yeah, Moonraker was a remake of Spy Who Loved Me, but Moonraker is not a good movie, even though we love it. Some of us love it, not everyone, clearly. But The Spy Who Loved Me is a great movie. Submarine car. Carolyn Monroe is Naomi.
Oh my God.
You got Barbara Bach as Agent Triple X. You got Jaws in a good movie. Richard Kiel. It got it all. I mean, it's everything you want in a Bond movie. This is like, and of course it has that incredible fight on the super tanker, which, as we talked about, it was the biggest set. Ken Adam built this enormous set, which was impossible to light. So what are they going to do? Who is Lewis Gilbert going to turn to? None other than Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick comes in on the weekend and shows Ken Adam how to light the set. It's so great. It's so great. So, to me, that's like, I saw it twice that summer, many times since.
I love The Spy Who Loved Me.
That's true. No, that summer I saw it twice. But that, look, my first Bond movie in the theater was The Man with the Golden Gun. But the movie that was transformative to me in terms of Bond movies was Spy Who Loved Me.
So, Mark, I have a question for you. Who would win in a fight? Jaws or Jaws?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I got to say, I think probably Jaws because he's Jaws. But if you recall, at the end of Spy Who Loved Me, he's dropped into the tank by because he got him by his teeth, and Bond drops him into the piranha pool. Not the piranha, the shark infested, and he he defeats the shark. He fights the shark and he wins. So
Yeah.
I think that answers your question, smartass.
Even though the orca had feel and it was destroyed.
So and Atlantis was destroyed, fell to the bottom of the sea. There's that great line. Plus, it's so smart, because as big and as epic as it is, just so many great lines in that. It's like there's that moment where they're sitting at the bar waiting to talk to Fikesh, and she's reciting his his resume, and basically says married only once, and he tells her to stop, and she goes, sensitive, Mr. Bond. He goes, about some things, yes. I mean, like that's all the Bond cinematic universe you need. You don't need brothers, that Blofeld's his brother and all that shit. You just need little lines like that. And then it has the great bon mots about, he goes to Egypt and when bon mots, when one is in Egypt, they should delve deeply into its treasures.
You should walk like an Egyptian.
And it's such a great movie. And it looks great. It's beautifully shot. The sets are Ken Adam at his finest. I mean, it has that goofy Marvin Hamlish score, but even though it's has that disco kind of music, there's still that great cue for the tanker, which is a ripoff of You Only Live Twice. The tanker that swallows submarines is exactly the same as the spaceships that swallow spaceships, but whatever.
But it's cool, and that set is amazing with the three submarines in there. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And that's a great shootout. The fight scene in there is awesome.
So great. So great.
In a lot of ways, it kind of defined, even though it was very late. And I mean, I wouldn't say it defined the Bond formula, but it almost perfected the Bond formula, right?
For a long time, yes.
Yeah. It's like, okay, it's like you go down the checkbox of everything like you think you want in a big Bond movie. Yeah.
It's Roger Moore's Goldfinger.
Yeah, I think it is probably the best of the Roger Moore movies. It's
easily
terrific.
Yeah.
I was going to say, except for the score, Bond 77, the disco version of the score is pretty goofy.
Yeah. But it's so great when she knows how to operate the submarine car, and he's like, "What?" He says, "Oh, we stole the plans for this, last, So it's, and then when she finds out that he's the one who killed her lover, and she's going to kill him. I mean, it's like, that's the thing about it. It has all this larger than life, big stuff, but it also has moments of great subtlety and wit, which is why it's great, because Moonraker doesn't have the subtlety, that Spy Love Me has. So anyway, I love Spy Love Me, and that's my pick for Thursday.
And it is a great summer movie in that, the big action sequences. It's just a real crowd pleaser too, in the way that great summer movies are.
It would have had a great popcorn bucket if they did that back in the day. They could have a popcorn bucket like the submarine that opens up with the popcorn inside. Anyway. So there you go. Okay, well, that takes us to Friday. It takes us to Friday. What are we going to do, guys? I think we know what we need to do, but before we get there, why don't we hear some other suggestions?
That's you, Steve.
Well, the one I was going to, I kind of made two lists. I made a list of like the summer blockbuster movies that are like the summer movies. And, all the ones you'd expect are on that list. Everything from Star Wars and Raiders to Ghostbusters and Top Gun and Independence Day and Jurassic Park. And then I made a list of the movies that have a summer setting. And I'm thinking of things like Friday the 13th or Stand By Me. But the one I was gonna recommend was a George Lucas movie that's not Star Wars. It's American Graffiti.
American Graffiti. Where were you in '62?
That special one and jump into your candy-colored custom or your screaming machine, cruise downtown and catch American Graffiti.
American Graffiti? Baby, what's that?
It's a movie.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Go back in time.
Where were you in '62?
Is that you in that beautiful car? Jeez, what a waste of machinery.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around 10 o'clock tonight.
What did you say? Someone wants me. Someone roaming the streets wants me.
And I bet you're smart enough to get us some brew.
ballpoint pen, pint of Old Harper.
Okay, you got an ID for the liquor?
Nah, I left it in the car.
You'll have to get it before.
Oh, well, I forgot the car.
We're finally getting out of this turkey camp. You just can't stay 17 forever.
You ever get tired of going steady with somebody that ain't around? I'm up for grabs.
If I had a boyfriend, he'd pound you.
What's wrong?
Go to hell.
Get your boogaloos out, baby. The Wolfman is everywhere.
16 candles.
You know Toby Juarez?
We killed him last night.
Excuse me, I think we've had an accident.
Well, I won't report you this time, but next time just watch it, will you? Everybody for justice!
Can't stand it, man. I can dig it.
It's one of those great old movies about romance, racing, and rock and roll.
Oh, American Graffiti. American Graffiti. Where were you in '62?
It's a movie about that last summer when this group of friends is together, cruising the avenues, picking up girls, running into each other before one of their number leaves to go off to college, never to be seen again. It's a great sort of fun yet melancholy, funny movie with a fantastic soundtrack. About that sort of summer experience, that teenage summer experience.
And
wow,
Dreyfus.
That's a great pick.
That is a really great pick, because I was going to say I thought Star Wars had a lock on it, but what's so great about American Graffiti is, one, I don't think we've ever picked it on the show. B, it's a nostalgic look back at a time that and for us, the summer movie season, all these movies are infused with nostalgia. We look back and we think not just about the movies, but where we saw them, the theaters that are probably no longer there, the people we went with, the friends we went with, what the experience was like, the toys we got, all these things. And American Graffiti kind of is all that in a way. And it's also, I think people forget, because Star Wars is so great, how amazing American Graffiti is as a movie, what virtuoso filmmaking it is, what, how good the writing is by the Hayeks and just everything. It's terrific. And I don't think that movie gets enough love, because everyone's sort of, there's no Andor of American Graffiti, So,
and it was made for such a shoestring budget. I think $777,777.
Yeah.
I
want to know how they built the diner.
And you know what? Here's another argument in favor of it. I mean, you could say, let's do this as a thought experiment. If American Graffiti had been a box office failure, would Star Wars have happened?
No.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't. Like the face of how we understand summer films entirely. And look, it wasn't Star Wars that created the summer blockbuster idea, but certainly it helped to cement it. And I can't even imagine, dude. American Graffiti is a legitimately important film, and it's a beautiful film, and it's great. And I personally didn't see it until it was, I didn't see it in its entirety until it played at the ArcLight Hollywood a couple of years ago. And I went to see it for the first time, and I loved everything about it.
Wow, you really hadn't seen it until just a few years ago?
I hadn't. When I was a kid, my dad sort of took us to it, but we got to the mooning scene and my mom was like, we're out with the kids. So, and I just never watched it after that. And I could not believe, I was blown away that the same guy who made that beautiful movie that was so incredibly emotional and insightful and human had also somehow fucking made the Phantom Menace. That was the thing that blew the top of my skull off my head, that they were the same guy. But it's probably his best film.
It's so funny because I had a similar experience in that I had watched it on DVD for one of the anniversaries. And it was the first time I ever saw it. Didn't love it. And when I went to see it in a theater a couple of years ago, and went with Naomi and Isaac, we loved it. It was transformative. I just this movie's so great. And I had never really appreciated it before. But now I just think it's so special. And he did such an amazing job.
Yeah. Just amazing.
And it's just the sound design, that great sound montage with the music and the radio chatter and everything. It's just brilliantly made, and just stringing together several dozen pop songs of the era to create that soundscape.
But while you're talking about the sound, the worldization of some of the things that we're going past in cars, and sometimes the music sounds like it is an actual memory.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful.
And how can you say no to Wolfman Jack?
You can't say no to Wolfman Jack.
Popsicles, big milk.
Well, I think this was going to take us by surprise. I was going to throw out Independence Day, which we all love, Do the Right Thing, a whole bunch of stuff. But I feel like this just feels right for Friday.
Yeah, it does. It does, because it feels pure.
Yeah. Okay,
fantastic. And I think the big lesson here is I had a similar experience seeing it on a big screen. I'd seen it back when I was younger, but it was many years before I saw it on a big screen, and it really is a different experience. So if you have the opportunity to see it in a big screen, grab it.
But it's also a different experience watching it when you're older. And you know what is being looked back on. But it's a vast difference between watching it when you're a kid and watching it when you know what's going on.
And the crazy thing is that movie came out in 1971, I believe, or 73. Sorry.
Yeah, 73. Yeah.
So it's like looking back on the summer of 62. So it's only 11 years ago. So that'd be like a movie today for about 2014.
Yeah.
Well, did you see the meme that's going around now that it's as much time between when Raiders came out and when it took place as today, and it would have been set in 1981?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, the year came.
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah. Well, Raiders would have been another great pick, but we're not gonna pick it.
Yeah. It's better in other weeks.
Yeah. But and I have to say, if you're going to see American Graffiti, see the original version, not the special edition. Oh wait. There is that one change with the diner is at Magic Hour, but who cares?
Yeah, and also I simply do not believe that Jar Jar Binks drove a T-Bird. That was bullshit. I couldn't believe they put that in there.
These are going to race for pink slips.
Oh my God. Anyway, great pick. But let's refresh the audience's memory. What are we watching on our summer movie week here on the 430 movie? Monday, Steve?
Monday, Don't Go Into the Water. It's Steven Spielberg's Jaws.
On Tuesday, Darren Dochterman.
1979, there's no spaghetti around, but you get a full serving of meatballs.
On Wednesday, it's Ashley Edward Miller trolling for residuals.
On Wednesday, Ashley Edward Miller has a nervous breakdown trying to make a summer movie with fucking Matthew Vaughn at 2011's X-Men.
How to lose a film in 10 days.
On Thursday, it's Bond and Beyond in The Spy Who Loved Me. And Friday, it's George Lucas's American Graffiti. Not to be confused with more American Graffiti. It's American Graffiti. So great week. You can't go wrong with any of these movies. Of course, so many other films. And as always, we'll be back next week with an all new episode of the 430 movie. But until then, you can listen to our classic episodes as well as our new episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. And the 430 movies, copyright 2025 by Treksperts Plus. And you can open hailing frequencies by emailing us about the 430 movie or suggest upcoming theme weeks that we haven't thought of at trekspertsplus@gmail.com. And you can follow us on all major social channels. So please rate and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts to make sure you don't miss a single episode of the 430 movie. So until next week, on behalf of Steve Melching, Ashley Miller, Darren Doctorman, myself, Mark A. Altman, Eyewitness News starts now.